Hello there. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. Today I'm going to be building a pyramid, like a converted pyramid. But first, I know it's been a while since I made a video. There's reasons. I found myself in an episode of a series of unfortunate events, which is odd because I never even auditioned for that. But there we go. I'll get into that in a bit. But I'm happy that I can finally make videos again. I'm feeling up to it. We'll get into why I've not been here a little bit later. I won't bore you with that immediately. But today I'm going to be building a pyramid, and I did this a few weeks ago, so if I'm going through this video and I seem surprised by anything going on, it's because I have no idea. I don't remember doing this. I'm just doing the voiceover. So I'm sort of like watching this along with you today because I have the memory of a sieve, so I don't really remember what I did here. Other than that, the reason I made this, I was going through live edit one day, and I was planning sort of like, before like my world imploded for a couple of months, I was planning like, oh, what my next few videos is going to be. And I was going through live edit and I was seeing like, if I was seeing what objects were in there, and if any of them sort of like sparked my imagination, like what can I do with these things? And I found these pieces that I'm using now, which are from, I think they're get together. They're really old pieces. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I could make a pyramid with these and these staircases. So I was just like, mapping it out. And I used the staircases as a sort of guide to begin with. And initially I had intended to sort of keep them there, but my too much gene came into effect here. So I ended up doing this entire thing, the exterior, just using these like broken ruin pieces. So I'm not going to show you the whole thing and me doing that because it took a really long time. I'm just going to show you like sort of one section of it, which I'm doing now, but I'm just floating these up with the 9 and 0 keys, and I'm trying to like make the texture not too similar. I'm sort of like varying it by using a few of the different pieces, and also having it sort of look ruined. I want this to be like ruined on the exterior, and then in the interior it's been like refurbished used into a house. Obviously a normal pyramid in Egypt is a lot bigger than this. This is just like a pretend small pyramid. But I'm going up using these, and so I was worried when I started doing this because I've done things like this before where I've taken one object and used it a ridiculous number of times in a very tedious task, because I really enjoy giving myself these just repetitive, tedious tasks of placing the same thing over and over and over again. I don't know, it like chills my brain out, I guess. But I was like, you know what, this is going to be too many pieces, and it's going to lag my PC because I don't have the best PC. Currently, I have plans in place of getting a better one, which is going to help me in the future, because this year I know we have some other live sim games coming out, like Paralives and Inzoi, which I really want to get into, and this computer that I'm currently on probably won't run them. I have plans to get this new PC at some point, but currently on this one, if I place too many objects, I can get some lag. So I was convinced that after doing half of this pyramid I would have a bunch of lag. However, because I think they're from the Get Together pack, which is quite a few, it's quite a few, more than quite a few years old now, I assume like the textures and polygons on it are quite like easy for PCs to run rather than newer objects that you can get in the game. So I didn't actually have any issues with this, which was good. So I'm just placing this thing over and over again and getting this corner, and I'm using these stairs as a guide. As I said, I'm trying to like line them up with the stairs and going up like one step at a time before I nudge it along to fill in these corner pieces. And it actually came out quite nice. I'm trying to, as I said, make it so that I don't repeat the same thing over and over again, and it looks like there's just like a very linear crack going through. So you can see here, yeah. So I've left some of the staircases showing, I've done the corner pieces, I've done the top piece, and I have those staircases showing. And originally I was going to leave them and make it almost look like there was sort of 2 layers to the pyramid, and the top one had eroded away and left these sort of like staircase looking things. That's probably not very realistic. I mean, I don't really know how pyramids have been built. I don't think they have double layers or anything. But I end up getting rid of those eventually. I don't know if I recorded doing that or if I just did it sort of like in the background. But that's how I've done this pyramid exterior. I've just layered it up, and I've used these few different pieces you can see on the floor. The rest of the lot is just like a live edit explosion of things I'd got out that I might use. I think some of them get deleted and I don't use them. Other pieces I do use eventually. And I'm doing this in Oasis Springs just because it's sandy and I really like the look of it. I also end up doing a bit of live edit, sort of using the tool mod to nudge some rockwork pieces out to sort of even more enclose the lot, because I didn't want it to look too much like you could just like look beyond the rocks and see a bunch of houses in the background. I wanted it to look quite remote. But here I'm going through and I'm covering up more of these steps a bit more. And while I'm doing this, I will go through, I will explain where I've been, why I've not been here. I feel quite bad about it. I feel quite guilty. In fact, it was guilt that sort of motivated me to sit down right now and record this one. I'm like, enough is enough. I've spent too long away. But what happened was, you might remember from my last few videos, and I think my throat's still not very good. Now I'm listening to myself, I still don't think it sounds that good. But I over Christmas in the UK, we had a lot of viruses. There were 4 of them. And I believe like bed use in the hospital was up 300% due to viruses than it was at the same time a year before. It like really hit the UK really bad. And I got a virus, and I think it was just the flu, and I was okay, and I just took a week. I tried to work through it, and in a few of my past videos, my throat was a bit off. But I was okay, I was dealing with it, and then eventually it was like, okay, I need to just like chill, have a rest, let this pass, and then I'll come back to it. And this was about when Christmas hit anyway, so you know, I was like, it's alright if I take a bit of time off over Christmas. Anyway, I went back home for Christmas, and my parents had also had the virus. And I was better by then. And I went home for Christmas, and I jinxed it. I even remember jinxing it, because my mum was like, oh, I'm not sure if we had the same virus as you. And I was like, oh, well, when do you hear about anyone who ever gets a virus after they've just had a virus? Anyway, a couple of days later, I get a second virus. So I'd barely recovered from the first one. And then this one was a really horrible respiratory one. And it knocked me out. It knocked me out for about 2 weeks. And I ended up with a chest infection after it as well. And as I said, I still don't think my throat's fully recovered listening to it now. Sorry, I'll just say I'm in the interior and I'm just sort of like mapping out walls and things, how I want this to be. I want this to have like, what would you call it? Like an atrium, is that what it's called, the middle bit? And I also put the glass pyramid-shaped roof in the middle, and that was because I've heard that pyramids had, originally, when they were built, they had gold coats on the top of the pyramids. Then obviously all that's worn away now, and what you see is like the underneath of what the pyramids actually used to look like. But I believe they used to actually be white with gold on the top of them, so I sort of did a nod to that by using this glass piece, because I wanted light to come through, and there's not like a very nice gold swatch that I could have put on the top. But that's why I'm doing that, and I'm making this interior bit where I want the light to come through the middle, because obviously the rest of it isn't going to have windows because it's a pyramid, so that would have been hard to do. But anyway, yes, I got these 2 viruses, and as I was then recovering from my second one, my dog got really sick, and this is the main reason why I've not been on for a while. And I might go into it eventually, because I feel like I want to, because I feel like I want to educate some people who, or not educate, but spread awareness about what happened to my dog, because I'd never heard anything about it, and there was some like, I think there was vets being really rubbish. Anyway, I was looking after my dog for a good few weeks. She got really sick. She was a lot more sick than we realized, and I ended up losing my dog a few weeks ago now. So I needed some time to recover from that, and it was very unexpected. She went downhill really fast, and she was also such a huge part of my life. She was sort of like my support dog, and I knew that I needed time to process rather than ignore what had happened, because I know that if I don't process things, it has a really long-term like effect on my ability to deal with stuff. So I just was like, you know what, I need to press pause. I need to just take some time to adjust to this big change and sort of grieve what's happened. And then I can worry about coming back to YouTube when I'm sort of able to. And I've done that, and I think that was really sensible of me, because I do feel like I've handled it quite well, even though it was a horrible situation. And like I said, I might go into it at some point in the future. But TLDR, she had something called pancreatitis, which I'd never heard of. And at the same time, it had caused kidney disease. And this had showed up on her blood tests, but the vet hadn't noticed. And so there's a lot of things. I don't dwell too much on it, but there is part of me that thinks in the future I might, you know, look back and think actually what went wrong in this situation, because I'm not 100% convinced it needed to turn out the way that it did. But that's why I've not been here. But I'm doing okay, and I'm coming back and I'm doing this now. And this is something I did a little while ago, and I'm easing into it. Because I've not done this for a few weeks. So I'm sorry if I'm missing things, if I'm missing information. I'm sort of just repeating things, doing the same thing, but I wanted to just make this video and have it be sort of like a chilled one as I'm coming back after this horrible series of unfortunate events. Ease myself back into it. So that's what I'm doing today. So I'm outlining this. I wanted this to have some sort of nature elements to it, which I've done with the water, with this grass, the live edit grass. Very much a combination of this sort of derelict old pyramid, but then also sort of modernized clean shapes, as if someone has renewed it, someone has, you know, revitalized this pyramid, but they've left sort of broken down walls as sort of like a feature, you know, like an old feature, like you leave beams in cottages and things like that. So that's what I was thinking here. So this combination of like modern and really old, and I really liked that. I also just like doing something really different. I don't know if I've seen someone build a pyramid before. I just wanted to know if I could do it, really, and I did. And that's why we're here. But I do move on to the interior as well. I wanted to see what I could do for an interior of a pyramid. Again, thinking like, you know, well, what would be in there already? So one thing that I think made me want to do a pyramid as well is when I was ill, I didn't have a whole lot to do, and I would watch things on YouTube. And during that time, there's a load of, I mean, there still is now in the news. I don't really know what's going on with it. I'm waiting to see if something comes out or if something doesn't come out. But, you know, I mean, there might be UFOs. I don't know. There might be aliens. Who knows? The news is a weird place these days. But I was looking at, I was hearing about, like, apparently there's aliens and all this stuff, and except I've not really seen any conclusive evidence yet. I'm waiting. And it got me on sort of like conspiracy YouTube. I do enjoy a conspiracy. I do enjoy a bit of like speculative ancient history of things being like ancient civilizations that were more advanced than we are, and people thinking that existed, and, you know, what were the pyramids used for, and what happened to Atlantis, and, you know, this real rabbit hole of YouTube that you can end up in. So I was watching stuff like that, and I really like the pyramid stuff. Because I don't think we really know what they were used for. I mean, obviously they're apparently tombs, but there's a bunch of people that refute that and say that they weren't used for tombs. There's like theories that they were solar energy gatherers, and that's why they had the gold plates on top. I mean, I don't even know if can you even gather solar energy with gold? I don't know. And then people who say that they were built on some natural ley lines in the earth. But then I'm also like, what are ley lines? I never learned about that in science. Do those actually exist? Or are ley lines themselves some conspiracy theory? I don't know. And then there's also like pyramid shapes under the sea. If you go on like Google Earth, you can see pyramid shapes. And so there's a bunch of people who think like aliens helped build them, or there was just like, it was a much more enormously advanced civilization, that something happened to it and made it crash. And there's people who say, you know, there's no actual physical way that we could rebuild the pyramids and move that stone. I don't know if that's true or not, but I like the people who say it's not true and then come up with other theories, because even if I don't believe any of them, I just think it's really imaginative. And this is the thing where I draw some like problems with these people who have theories, is because they always just jump to aliens. Why aliens, and why not just something like some extinct giant badger moles or something like that? I just find that a lot more interesting. Maybe there were just like a bunch more animals that they used to like help move things, like giant badger moles, and they lived in the sand, and they just like made sand burrows all through Egypt. And I just think that's more exciting. I'm actually going to decide that that's what I think happened with the pyramids. Anyway, I just love all the imagination people have about all sorts of things like this, and I wanted to build a pyramid, and here I am building a pyramid. So I've done this sort of central bit, I'm doing these exterior bits. I didn't really know how to do this. I was like, these kind of just look like corridors. I'm not sure how I'm going to turn these into rooms, because they're quite narrow. I do end up eventually managing to do it, and I started off with this little bathroom space, and then I'm putting in this kitchen area, which I sort of swept around. So the flow of this is very like, you have this sort of interlinking exterior rooms followed by this middle central bit, which is just very much for giving light and having a staircase. I also built this little like staircase up to a sort of writing study area or something like that. But I've kept the walls, or this swatch that I thought matched the exterior bricks as best as it could. And is this a get together one as well? I don't remember. And then I'm putting in all these columns because I'm quite a column addict these days. I never used to use them, but I do enjoy them now in the corners, doing things with them. And I couldn't place these columns. You have to put the grid back on and then it lets you place them. See, it's really annoying. But what else did I do in this? I'm sort of, like I said, I don't really remember what I did in this. I'm just watching it at the same time as you. A toilet. Right, okay, we're doing the bathroom. Oh, what set is this? This is a CC set that I used. It's called the MCM one by Pierresim, I think. Oh, but it's been so long. It could, if I've got that wrong, it's just because it was so long since I built this. And obviously then I just vegetated for a while and didn't do anything. But using this, I really like to put plants in my builds, and it was quite hard not to put plants in this build. But I knew that I couldn't because there's no light coming through other than like synthetic ones that I put in later. And that was quite hard because I was starting to think it was looking a bit too stony and plain coloured, but then I was, you know what, a pyramid would probably look like that. I don't know who would live here. Anyone, I guess. I didn't put anyone in here because again, I don't really do live gameplay. And then here I'm using the tool mod just to, some of these corners were looking like jank. So I used the tool mod to rotate some of these stone pieces by like 90 degrees so they were vertical rather than horizontal, and I just tucked them in the corners to try and, I'm not sure what caused that actually. Oh, it's the stairs. The stairs that I used to make the original sort of guide are poking through the walls, and they have this very weird sheer like 2D edge, and that's what's poking through. So that's what I'm covering here with these other stone pieces. And yeah, rotating them using the tool mod, lowering the camera and stuff to make sure that it was covering them and didn't look stupid. Getting the camera in this was quite difficult. I tried to make this so that obviously when we're looking top down into the build, it's functional. It's not covered in these stone pieces, they're just on the exterior. And also obviously I did that by making sure that as I was going up these sort of like tiered sections of stone, as soon as they were in line with the second level of the build, I made sure they were built on the second level of the build and not floated up from the lower level, otherwise they would stay there and cover up this top down view. But it's not like the easiest view if you were gonna play in this, I guess, but it works. It's fine. You can still see inside it. When you lower the walls, though, if you were gonna lower the walls so that they're not full height, it does look a bit odd, and there's some like space underneath. There's some space underneath the exterior stonework, which I thought about filling in, but then I was like, you know what, I can't be bothered. I've already done too much in this build. But again, I'm using some more of these Pierresim. This was a bit of a Pierresim CC build. I'd got a few things that I hadn't used before. I was like, you know what, we're going to use them. We're going to make this build. And I tried to keep the kitchen looking a little bit like the stone was there from the original build. Again, I don't know what an inside of a pyramid looked like. I could have looked on Google, but I can't be bothered. I rarely do that. I like to just make up my own stuff. So that's what I'm doing here. Yes, okay, so we're going down now. So this is going to be 2 bedrooms. I did this, I wasn't quite sure how to do it, so I just did the sort of stop motion version of filling in the space. I didn't want this video to be too long. So we've got this bathroom, bedroom, and this like closet area. I'm going to put some, well, they're coffins, but sarcophaguses, I guess, because we're in Egypt. So I wanted to keep a sort of like base tomb looking thing in here, so I do decorate that in a bit. I wanted to keep some kind of features in here that looked pyramid-y, and not just convert the whole thing into this like modern looking bedroom. And so I'm going to put these edges around, some detailing, but I'm using mostly live edit stuff to detail in this build. I didn't want to use too much CC like I have in other ones. So while I was building this, and even as I'm rewatching it now, all I can think of is, I don't know if you've seen, if you're in the UK, you'll know what this is. In America, you probably do as well because it went quite big on social media, but there's this character called Philomena Kunk. And she's like a northern, she plays this like character of a stupid northern person who goes and does documentaries, and she does Kunk on Earth, which is like a parody documentary series, and she does a bit on Egypt, and she says during it something like, the Egyptians believe the most significant thing you could do in your life is die. And that's all that just repeats in my head over and over as I'm watching this. But Bless the Egyptians. I do believe they did think that dying was like a really honorable thing to do, and they sort of lived to die, if I remember like learning about Egypt properly. And I know that I also saw something online the other day. It was like a history thing that said Cleopatra, who obviously people associate a lot with Egypt. It's probably like Cleopatra and Tutankhamun, who was the pharaoh, and Cleopatra. But Cleopatra, in age, is actually when she lived, she was closer to seeing the invention of the iPhone than she was closer in age to the actual building of the Pyramid of Giza. And I didn't know that. So I feel like I've sort of been lied to about how Cleopatra was really associated with the pyramids and things. Cleopatra basically just came in as some like really young generation person who probably knew about as much about the pyramids as we do, and was just like, all right, yeah, I'll rule here. But there we go. I felt a bit fooled by that. Cleopatra pretending she's the face of the pyramids. How dare you, Cleopatra? I actually don't know very much about Cleopatra, other than didn't she passed away. Are you allowed to say die on YouTube? I don't know. YouTube's a bit weird about that, isn't it? I think she passed away because she was going to get hunted, and so she drank some poison, I believe. I don't know. Well, I guess she thought that dying was quite significant. What am I talking about? I don't know. I did this little water bit. I don't know what this is. I just felt like doing it. Why there's waters in the pyramids, I don't know. Maybe this is where Atlantis is, and you just dive down there, and that's where Atlantis is. Atlantis is linked to the pyramids as well. Don't ask me how. I just know because, like, in very short, not particularly informative videos, people have said that the pyramids are linked to Atlantis. But because they're short videos, they don't really get into it. So that's all I know about it. I do wish that people would make long videos. When I watch these videos about like conspiracies and things, I always feel like, all right, and where's the next bit? You've not explained this properly. And then you have to go and search through their videos, and they never really explain things properly. So long form content is much better for conspiracies. If you're gonna have a conspiracy era, which I do recommend everyone have at some point, it's just a little bit of a thing. You know, maybe if you get sick like I did, or you've just got some time where you're like, I don't have much to do and I just need a rest. Getting into conspiracies is really good. Just don't actually like get too into conspiracies, because then you'll end up on like the X version of conspiracy theorists, who they're all just bonkers. And I did get into that. So now when I go on X, half of the stuff that's pushed to me is people who are like absolutely convinced that there's like psychically controlled alien spaceships. And I even saw that apparently some people believed that the government were using gay men. This is real, that people believe this. They were using gay men to psychically control spaceships because something about gay men makes them better at psychically controlling spaceships. I don't know. Oh, I'm done. We're finished. Sorry, this was such a ramble about absolutely nothing, wasn't it? Here's my pyramid. Decorated it a bit with... So I didn't talk about any of this. Just some like foliage outside and things. You can see I've put these rocks around the exterior. This was an absolute mess, but like this was me like easing myself back into making videos, so I do apologize. We're gonna go through, and I've put some books and things in, some clutter. I kept it very beige, which I thought matched the pyramid exterior. I really like how this came out, actually. If I was gonna use one of my builds and actually do a playthrough, I'd potentially use this one because it's just really unique compared to other things I've made. Here's a little like system here on the wall, because I wanted to get sort of like technology into the pyramid. Here we've got this little seating area with the plants. I did manage to shoehorn some plants into this build by placing them in this one spot that gets sunlight during the day. So that was achieved. I feel like I won in this one. A little study area. There's no PC. I don't know why. I guess that people don't. Some sun cream there on the side. This little kitchen area, which again looked quite nice. But I put the dining room outside. Well, the dining table, it's not a room, but the dining table outside, because I couldn't fit it anywhere, so I just shoved it outside. And then I've used these pieces on the walls throughout, which I'm thinking are sort of like hieroglyphs. And hieroglyphs are just like the Egyptian version of emojis, I guess, aren't they? Bathroom area. Again, this turned out all really nice. I think these are the MCM mirrors. A lot of used a lot of PRSim CC in this build. And I think this came out quite nice. I've done this thing where I like put light switches in and things now just to finish off builds. Just to add that little realism, depth of realism to it. But then I kept all the exterior quite geometric, as you can see, because pyramids, geometry. I wanted to make this a very sort of geometric build. Again, some more of those, what we're calling hieroglyphs, which are actually just like... Are they called glyphs in game? I think they're actually called glyphs. So there we go. Moving through, I added loads to this sort of sarcophagus-y area and then lit it up with some of these aerial lights. There's that death one right in the middle there, because it was very significant to the Egyptians, apparently, according to Philomena Kunk. And then I just sort of did the same, just did another bedroom area, slightly different, but sort of also equally similar to the previous one. Keeping these colours very muted, very sort of like sandstone-y, I guess you could call it. And there we go. I think that's sort of like most of the builds that I've covered. There's a floating... Okay, we ignore that. Up we go again. And here we are. There we go. Finished. This was a mess. Thank you so much for watching. Be kind to yourselves. And I will see you in the next one.